welcome to another episode of Set Musings. So we're on to Legions, the second set of the Onslaught block, and obviously this is a smaller set than the first set. It's 145 cards, 55 commons, 44 uncommons and 44 rares. It's an interesting set in that it's actually creatures only in this set. It has morph in it, or morph triggers, slivers, various creature types which we'll take a look at, Amplify, Double Strike and Provoke, along with various cycles. So we'll just work our way through like we normally do. You can see up here got quite a few different things, mainly because of the presence of the tribal nature of the set that we need to think about. I'll just quickly mention the main creatures before we start to drill down through them. So we've got beasts, which are primarily, and this is, I'm talking about really the block as a whole here in terms of their primary colours. So beasts, the primary colour is red and green, secondary colour is blue and black. Birds, and they could be split down into two sort of tribes, if you like, Avon and birds itself. We've got primary colours white and blue, and secondary colours black and red, although Avons are only in white and blue. Clerics, primary white and black, no secondary. Dragons, primary is red, no secondary. Elves, green, no secondary colour. Goblins, red and black. Sorry, red, and then red as a primary and black as a secondary. Illusions, in the form of mist form or mimics. They're only in blue as a primary, no secondary colour. Soldiers, white is their primary colour, and then blue and green is the secondary colour. Slivers, the whole Wooburg, the whole colour pie, they're in all colours. Wizards, the primary is blue, but they are in all other colours as a secondary colour across the block. And then finally zombies, the primary colour is black, there is no secondary colour for zombies. So you'll see that reflected as we go through here to some degree. Like I said, that's the breakdown for that block as a whole. So let us go into, first of all, you can see just to prove this, so we've got 145 cards in the set, and if we filter by creatures, there's still 145 cards, so all creatures. And there we go, just to show you, so nothing apart from creatures. So there are 21 beasts in here, and you can see they're in blue, red and green. And various abilities on here, which we'll come back to in a moment. We have birds, so 11 birds, primarily white and blue, one black, and you can see a number of the birds are also Avons. We've got 18 clerics, white and black, and across the whole set that's the only colours you'll see them in. And the other thing to note as well, we've obviously got these hybrid subtypes, so combinations of the various creature subtypes as well. There's our dragons in red, two of these. If you remember, I think in the previous set we also only had two dragons, I believe. Got 12 elves, all in green. Goblins, one in black and the rest in red. Here's our illusions. You can see in this particular set they are all mist forms, although again this one here is an illusion sliver, so it's combined with another tribe. We have 14 soldiers in white, blue and green, a number of which are bird soldiers, so they have flying. And we have slivers. We have 15 slivers in the set at various rarities. The other thing we'll take notice of, take careful notice of, is we'll probably see, because there are no non-creature spells in the set, I expect we're going to see much more utility in the abilities on the creatures than you would normally see. Obviously that's a given with slivers, but also with some of the other creatures. I'm hoping to see the sort of abilities here that you would see on say an instant or a sorcery. It'd be interesting to see if there's any flash in this set as well. Well, flash in combination with an enter the battlefield effect. Or you know, how they achieve things, like if in the set they want to achieve, say, a counterspell type effect. Do they do that through an activated ability on a creature, so that it's in play and then you get some effect that you can activate? Or are they going to do that by some sort of ETB, or are they not going to bother at all? And all of the spell utility just comes from other cards in the block as a whole. So we'll see how that pans out as we look through various cycles and go back to looking at the set as a whole. So that was slivers we looked at last. Now we're on to wizards. So you can see here blue, black, red and green. And in this particular set, we don't have any white wizards. So you can see here we've got card draw, for instance, on this one stapled to a wizard. And this one has an ETB with card draw on it. And it might be the case that when something is morphed, we may see an interesting effect as well. So when we start to look at the morph stuff, we'll keep an eye open for that. We'll be mindful of that. We've got our zombies, all in black. You see there's some pretty expensive removal stapled to this. So here's Amplify. So this is the first of a dive into some of the mechanics. So Amplify is a thing in the set, and you can see it's Amplify and then something. So most of these look like they're Amplify 1. We've got an Amplify 3 here and Amplify 2. Yep. So what you'll notice is that figure is indicative of the number of counters that you're going to see. So if we have Amplify 3, we get 3 counters. So let's start with Killmouth Dragon because it's fairly high Amplify cost. Are we seeing here? I'm just trying to see if we see a relationship between Amplify and rarity. Not necessarily, I suppose. Anyway, let's look at this one. Amplify 3. As this card comes into play, put 3+1/+1 counters on it for each dragon card you reveal in your hand. So there's a condition on this Amplify, and you can see it's a tribal condition. This one's Bat, Bird and or Soldier. This one is just Soldier. We've got zombies here. It's the red one, Dragon. Beasts in green. So that's interesting. So yeah, Amplify is scaled, and yeah, that could get out of hand actually. Put 3/1 counters for each dragon card you reveal in your hand. Okay. We have 9 cards in the set with Amplify. I'm just working out what the implications of this are. Yeah, this is not... With only 2 dragons in the set. The interesting ones, I think, are where you've got a high Amplify cost with a high amount of a particular tribe. So I wonder whether I'd be more interested in the green Amplify because of that. I mean, it looks like there is actually a lot of zombies in the set, or relatively speaking, we've got 11 zombies. This beast was the first one we looked at. So it's 21 beasts. So beast is certainly an interesting one. If you were playing sealed, for instance, and you started to notice you had a lot of beasts and you had several of these Amplify cards, it looks like we got 1 at each rarity in green. Same with black as well. Only 2 double strike cards, both in red. And here's our morph. We got 32 morph cards. So, yeah, morph was heavily represented in this set. And we've seen this already, so pretty straightforward. You can either play the card for its regular cost, you could, or you can play it as a 2/2 for 3, play it face down, and then when you want to morph it, you play the morph cost and you turn it face up. Now, what you'll notice is there's some triggers here on some of these. In fact, it looks like there's triggers on... Actually, no, there's a few, it's not on all of them. That one doesn't have a morph trigger. Neither does that one. So not everyone has a morph trigger, but you can see the vast majority of them appear to have it. That's interesting. It's like an upkeep cost. At least it's not cumulative anyway. Okay, so we've got 3/3. I was going to look at the... there we go. See, there's Willbender. It's interesting. So when you morph it, you get a retargeting effect. That's interesting. In blue, it looks like it's sort of demorphing creatures. Some curious interactions you could get going on there. -3, -3. We got like a pseudo wrath effect. Oh, there's creature destruction on the morph. So that's how they're slipping in a lot of spells that would normally be, in a particular colour, which obviously aren't here because we're playing all creatures. Is we've got stuff that gets triggered when you morph something. So moving on to Provoke. So when this creature attacks, you may have target creature defending player controls untap and block it if able. Sliver 1 gives all creatures Provoke. And that's pretty interesting actually because it's high toughness. With Provoke. And yeah, I wondered how they were going to do that because obviously you can't have a non-flying creature block a flying. So if you provoke it, you can then get it to lose flying so that it does force the defending power to actually block the creature. Some pretty complex interactions going on here. So I believe these were called saboteurs, although it doesn't mention them anywhere on here. And with a saboteur, any creature with a whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player triggered ability. So you can see it here, Dripping Dead. Whenever Dripping Dead deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. It can't be regenerated. On this one, you've got sack a permanent. Looks like most of them are in black. Oh, we have Phage in the set. Oh yeah, this one. So Phage has gone all in with that saboteur effect. So whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. It can't be regenerated. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. And when it comes into play, if you didn't play it from your hand, you lose the game. That's done deliberately, so you can't sort of cheat it into play from your graveyard. Through some graveyard shenanigans, you have to play it from your hand. I'm just looking at any of these to see if any work against the controller rather than against the opposing party, opposing player. I think this one's interesting because this actually. So we got a 5/3 for 3. So there's got to be a downside somewhere. It can't block, and also whenever a Drinker of Sorrow deals combat damage, sacrifice a permanent. So yeah, you gotta. Let's just check the Oracle text on that. Yep, and no change there. So. Okay, so cyclers or cycles. yeah, cycling was a thing in the set as well still. I mean, it's a thing in that block as a whole. So this is a cycle of cyclers. They all have gem palm in their name. And obviously cycling on them, so that when you cycle them, something happens. So with this one, when you cycle it, all soldiers get +1/+1 and gain first strike until end of turn. When you cycle this one, all wizards gain flying until end of turn. This one, target player loses 1 life for each zombie in play. This one is X damage based on the number of goblins. And this one +2/+2. All elves get +2/+2. So there's a tribal element. And that's where it is. Invokers. And you can see all these. These have a very high activated ability, which is powerful. So once this is in play, you can invest 7 and a white into it and get 5 life. And because you're not tapping it down or anything, you can invest as much extra mana, although beyond 8 mana, which is quite a lot. To trigger this effect twice. Obviously, that's a lot of mana to invest. 16 mana. So when Invoker gets +3/+3 and goes flying until end of turn. Interesting to see a pump spell in blue, actually. -3/-3, 5 damage, and then +5/+5 until end of turn. Cycle of Muses. Powerful but unusual ability. Apparently, you can see they're all in all at rare. You just can't attack unless their controller plays 2 for each creature attacking you. Beginning of each player's upkeep, that player puts the top X card from his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is the number of cards in his or her hand. At the beginning of upkeep, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of zombies you control. Lavaborn Muse. At the beginning of upkeep, if that player has 2 or fewer cards in hand, Lavaborn Muse deals 3 damage to him or her. And Seedborn, untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. I see what they mean by unique abilities, actually. Or unusual abilities. Okay, so let's get on to the cycle of slivers. So we've got a cycle at common. So Plated Sliver, Mistform, Crypt Sliver, Hunter Sliver and Quick Sliver. It looks like these all have some form of ability that is imparted on all slivers. This one does have what would now be called Flash. So at any player may you may play Quick Sliver any time you could play an instant. Any player may play Sliver cards any time he or she could play an instant. Because again, remember with slivers at this point in Magic's history, they are completely symmetrical across the board. So every sliver, yours and opponents get these affected. It's the concept of the hive mind. Then these are uncommon slivers. It's interesting. We've got a green one which can't be countered. Blue one can't be blocked. White one has protection based on the colour you choose. There's pump on that, and it's scalable. And then got asymmetrical pump as well. Form of it's in on the power only. Here's our rares, cycle of sliver rares. So okay, that was life gain on the white one, blue one. Card draw based on combat damage, the black one. Okay. Combat damage, you destroy that creature, it can't be regenerated. Okay, so there's plus X plus 0 until end of turn. Well, X is the number of slivers in play. And then this green one is spitting out sliver tokens whenever combat damage is done to a player. Interesting. There's our mist forms. Just thought I'd bring that up because I had mentioned illusions and how within illusions there were these mist forms. And you also have a mist form that is also a sliver. And a legend. Illusion. Now, one thing I did forget to do, and let's do that now, because we always like to see these, and that is we should check out our legendaries. So there's three. There's a Chroma, Angel of Wrath. There's Mistform Ultimus, and there's Phage the Untouchable. So Phage we've already seen. Mistform Ultimus we just saw, but I didn't necessarily take a look at this. It's interesting because this obviously went on to be what is now a creature type referred to as Changeling. Didn't have it on the card at the time, but it's every creature type, which would include obviously Sliver. Now, for some reason, which I can't quite work out. Oh, I see. Yeah, because it's that's an interesting qualification actually. Because it's every creature type, that creature type would include Wall as well. So that's why that's on there. A Chroma, Angel of Wrath, Flying Protect, First Strike, Trample Haste, Protection from Black, Protection from Red, and also has Vigilance on it. And as I've said, we've seen Phage already. So we'll go back to these misforms. Okay, so yep. As you can see here, all of these misforms actually have the ability to change the creature type. So these two change them. This one is always, and this one, oh, you can make all slivers become a creature type of any creature type of your choice. Okay, back to the set. So what I was going to do now is quickly just scroll through and just see if we can locate cards which have specific abilities on them, which would, stand in, if you like, for stuff we normally see on instants or sorceries. So we've got, when this is turned face up as part of its whole morph shenanigans, you can see it destroys target enchantment. So obviously counters are a thing. Oh yeah, got something we often see in white on the spell. It's often something we might see on an enchantment. There's our life gain, we've already seen that. Oh, another one with life gain. Bit of lockdown going on with the condition. I'm looking in here, beyond creature combat as a form of removal, what blue has additionally on a bit abilities. Got unblockable here. There's actually mill on this one. Let's bounce on that one. We've already seen in blue there's this ability where it will, demorph a creature if you like, or reverse morph it back to a 2/2. We saw that black had ways of destroying creatures actually through various means. And there's land destruction stapled to that. And, yep, there's graveyard shenanigans going on. Oh, more destruction. So, let's see what we've got here that's got burn stapled to it. Well, that one already we've seen. Yep, there's one there. Another one there. Yeah, and a lot of these are conditional as well. There's a counter theme in here as well. Look, it doesn't look like it's massively widespread. Maybe, I don't know. Got a few token generators as well. Vanilla. 7/7 for 7. Some pump there as well. Oh, there's your mana creator in green. And X mana of any one colour when mana will X is a number of elves in play. Insect, anything generating elf tokens here? Don't think so. Something generating bear creatures, bear tokens. I was just curious if there's anything like generating tokens in a particular, that's relevant to the tribal nature of the different colours. So, for instance, do we have cards in black, creatures in black that are actually generating black tokens that are zombies, that sort of thing? Or in the same in green, elves and so on. Okay, so it's quite interesting to see a set, where it is 100% creatures and there's just nothing else. So I'm going to move on to this bit, which is, prices. I'm just going to reload this just in case the price has changed since I put this together, which can sometimes happen. So $26 for a Synapse Sliver. I suspect the most expensive cards are going to be slivers that haven't been reprinted anywhere else. There's a Magma Sliver, Brood Sliver. I don't know if you remember that. That was that all foil sliver deck. I think there were only ever 3 of those decks, weren't there? There was a sliver one, there was a graveyard one, and there was a burn one. I don't think there was a 4th. I think there was only 3 of them. Was they called the premium decks, something like that, and they were all foil. Oh, Seedborn Muse has been reprinted several times. And there's another sliver, Essence Sliver, was in the time-shifted time spiral slot. Actually more expensive than the original. This one's been placed on the list, so this means it's cropping up in those slots on modern boosters. Certain boosters. And there's also in Plane Chase as well, first one. So now we've dropped below the $10 mark, and Phage the Untouchable was in Conspiracy and in 10th edition. That's probably where I first saw it, actually. It's interesting, actually, as you go through the set to just see what has been reprinted. Windborne Muse looks popular in Commander products. Yep, seems the Muses are popular in Commander, actually. Yeah, I did have a suspicion that this must have been in a Commander deck at some point. When you got it spitting out creature tokens. With, like, again, an interesting sort of interaction as well. Okay, and then of course lastly, let's just look overall at how much is used in Commander. You can see as we gathered there, just going through the more expensive cards, Seedborn Muse, Windborne Muse, so several of the Muses are in the top 10 cards that are indexed that have been submitted to EDH Rack. Chroma's in here. Got a few slivers. So if we click on this, get a rough idea of where it's cropped up. It's always interesting to see for the top card. Okay, 46,842 decks. Yep, so a number of different decks here. And you can see, it's got pretty useful utility in anything that plays green. Untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. Why wouldn't you want to play that? It did crop up in Battle Bond. The other thing, I don't know if you noticed in the set, no multicolour cards. They're all mono colour. Okay, there we have it. So just to mention what to look forward to. So this is obviously going out, and then I'm going to follow it up with the usual deck Durdle episode. It's going to be interesting, because when you look at my starting pool, you can see why. If this actually decides to kick in, it's been doing weird things recently. Oh, here we go. So I've just grouped these by rarity at the moment. But of course, if I do change the view to, let's just do that to show you. I got a custom, 90 creatures. So it's funny. So obviously I'm going to be pretty interested in things like rarity as a way of just helping me navigate my way through what the hell I'm going to play. And then in terms of the follow-up Commander Fodder episode, I'm going to keep up with Commander Fodder for the moment. I suspect once we get to the period in Magic's history where we're down to 40 card decks and things like intro decks, I'm probably going to dial back the Commander Fodder episodes at that point, because I've definitely, from playing around with these, I find that the theme deck's generally more interesting to do. But we'll carry on for the moment. I think that happened around about the time of Shards of Alara, I think, was when they switched down to smaller decks and started putting in booster packs and various things like that. So of course it's no surprise that obviously in a set which has slivers, a lot of slivers, there is a sliver theme deck. This particular one, if you look at it, you can see it's not in all colours. It's only in 3 out of the 5. But this is going to form the basis of a sliver tribal deck I'm going to do. So this is the deck as is, and what I'm going to do is basically play a commander which would have been contemporaneous to that period. So Sliver Overlord. And yeah, we'll see more of this when we get to that episode. There's a few things as well I want to add in so I don't forget, because that's commonly what I do, because I'm, part of these episodes, these Commander Fodder episodes, is deliberately using using the suggestion algorithm in Architect to see what rabbit hole it takes me down, and sometimes as a consequence of that I miss some really obvious cards that I might want to play. So I try and remember, don't always do that, to include them in a maybe board, and then I drag them in when we do the episode. So yeah, so that's something to look forward to, bit of sliver action. And there we have it. That's another set Musings in the can. That's for Legions. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.